Latinx vaccinated as well. Why? They're worried that they'll be vaccinated and deported. Vaccinated and deported. Vaccinated and deported. Vaccinated and deported.
Yo soy boricua, pa' que tú le sepas.
No me llames Latinx, soy latino. No me llames Latinx, soy latino. No me pongas tu locura, soy latino. Varón nací, varón seré. Género inalterable, fragilidad mental, por lo cual no soy culpable. Con orgullo yo cantaré, soy latino.
Just take a look at what they doing to our children when you try to keep tradition, but they moving with devotion to the devil's game of question just to find the sum of all the sins. Tell them to be born again and yet don't see the truth within. Life is controlled by the skin, by the flesh, by your chest. You just trying to do what's best. Let me tell you something, Latinx, man, that just ain't fresh. Pronouns in your bio, LGBT to your child. Teach them all about the spectrum just before they hit the age of 10. But when they start to acting crazy, you should do no questioning. And when they turn their back on you, shouldn't be surprised at all. Bowing to the mob of death is how we make a culture fall. Use of history to blame our heritages to the flame. Woke mob is the bane, laying waste, leave it slain, bleeding out, so in pain. Let's get washed in the rain, in the blood, soon to flood, end is not, devil cry. Let's hope these demons all will fry.
No me llames Latinx, soy latino. No me llames Latinx, soy latino. No me pongas tu locura, soy latino. Varón nací, varón seré. Género inalterable, fragilidad mental, por lo cual no soy culpable. Con orgullo yo cantaré, soy latino.
Who willing to fight for the future? And willing to fight for their rights and their life for their family. Don't listen to rumors. Cause rumors are acting like tumors and leaving believers in agony. Who willing to listen? Prepare for the mission and sharpen your vision and focus your aim like a shooter. You need an ambition. Ambition is keeping you driven and willing to fight for the future. Let's go.
I'm willing to fight for the future. Pull up a seat, cause now I'm your tutor. To all the youngest promoting destruction. Listen now closely to all my instructions. Never be turning your back on your brother. Love on your mother, there'll be no other. God be their life when they come at the knife. 1-2 punch to the dance with a jab. Coming back every year when they put you in a cap. Back trouble, this and that. Good trouble, that's a fact. I don't do it for the cash. Save the kids when I rap. Fighting for the future and you know that I can handle that. Hero generation when you hear me spitting on the track. You look down on yesterday, but the president's a gift. We're gonna be here for tomorrow, gotta win it either way. Got the dragon and the J. Someone gonna win the states. And it's dark says, yo, teach your kids on the low. Gotta get together to an insecure at any mode. Gotta mix it up, fight back, battle to the max. Throw my leg down, cause you ain't black. You know the thing, your son smokes crack. Or maybe Parmesan, he be getting on the cheese. Ain't no VP, be down on the knees. Arrest our chief for killing puppy.
Who willing to fight for the future? And willing to fight for their rights and their life for their family.
My mom saved my life. My dad wanted to abort me. There would have been no Kanye West.
Okay, not your life, not your body, not your choice, ayy, ayy. Not your life, not your body, not your choice, ayy, ayy. That's a baby, that's a child, that's a voice, ayy, ayy. Not your choice, not your choice, not your choice, okay? I am not your choice, I promise you that if you wanna end me, you gon' have to pull up with a strap. I know you got that envy. Ignore them thinks that you can have a baby, then just end it quickly. But I know that baby got a soul. Do you got one though? You on TikTok thinking you a savage, but you really not. You on Snapchat showing off your body, thinking that you hot, but when you get that baby bump, you gon' look around all stumped, begging mommy for some help. Baby daddy ain't in sight. She'll just take you to the clinic, then the doctor gets the knife. If all abortions all just health, why are we losing the life? And if the daddy wanna keep it, why don't he get to decide? That's your seed, your creation, your responsibility. And not your life, not your body, not your choice, ay, ay. Not your life, not your body, not your choice, ay, ay. That's a baby, that's a child, that's a voice, ay, ay. Not your choice, not your choice, not your choice, yeah. Not your life, not your body, not your choice, ay, ay. Not your life, not your body, not your choice, ay, ay. That's a baby, that's a child, that's a voice, ay, ay. Not your choice, not your choice, not your choice, okay?
Black culture has been manipulated to see us as emotionally unstable in comparison to every other race. And that if you're speaking this way, you can't do that. That makes you not black anymore.
We talking white, they all say we talking white. What we say be offending them, that's why they start to capping, right? Talking white, they all say we talking white. They can take straight black man speaking truth, yeah, they be hating, right?
Talking white, they all say we talking white. They tried to take my black card, but the truth is I am black as night. Talking white, they all say we talking white. They be hating cause I'm not a liberal, I be leaning right.
Talking white, I'm talking white, stop saying it is stupid. You think that you so not racist, but you hating on my music just because I am a black man speaking out in an old fashion, using facts and logic with some reason. To white liberals that don't teach them what they doing. Call me white, that's retarded, yeah you right. Saying BLM but not for David Dorn, that's alright. Retire cop or referee thinker, it don't make no difference. If you not there siding with them, then you nothing but a victim. You can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps cause the judges will convict him. Man, you'll never get your freedom, Biden wrote the bill. Ay, you think that we needin' fathers, now you gotta chill. Ay, and you don't like me speaking out, sorry but I will. We talking white, they all say we talking white. What we say be offending them, that's why they start to capping, right? Talking white, they all say we talking white. They can't take straight black man speaking truth, yeah they be hating, right?
Talking white, they all say we talking white. They tried to take my black card, but the truth is I am black as night. Talking white, they all say we talking white. They be hating cause I'm not a liberal, I be leaning right. Talking white like Walter, I'm talking white like Jack. I enunciate my words and make them have heart attack. I'm talking white like computer paper, white like a rutabaga, whiter than all my neighbors. Satan my biggest hater. I don't listen to they white noise, it don't make no sense like IRS taking all my coins. Yeah, they call me a white boy, cause I told them that we not oppressed, we is alright, boy. Yeah, like Larry Elder, they call me a white supremacist. All these liberals acting like I am they nemesis. I just think the donkey ain't as good as elephant, and I got facts to back it up, I'm with the evidence.
Yeah, we talking white, they all say we talking white. What we say be offending them, that's why they start to cap it, right? Talking white, they all say we talking white. They can't take straight black men speaking truth, yeah they be hating, right?
Talking white, they all say we talking white. They tried to take my black card, but the truth is I am black as night. Talking white, they all say we talking white. They be hating cause I'm not a liberal, I be leaning right.
But that's the BS.
I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
Sense of me, you will never stop the free. Thinking that's gonna shut you down. Post the truth, they go to town. Sense of me, kick me off of every platform. I'll just go to get a gab and rumble, now you can't stop me. I think we all see it, but cannot believe it. The glint in our eyes as we look at the sky to see that it's falling and people are calling. I think we all know that the end is nigh. But how can it be? The people is me. I posted a tweet and it got deleted. Don't look at me like I'm conceited. If you conceded, then tell me why you stuck on the YouTube, then on the Facebook, calling it meta. We fed it the cheese, I mean fed it with cheese. They wanna release all of your data to screw up your piece. They censor me, then take liberty. Don't even let me post up with the need. Album to blast, they gonna ban that. Take it off Genius, you can't even read. The lyrics of Brandon who lighten the cannon to bring us all down. Paint the whole town. Who got a clue of what they gonna do? They hate all of you. Standing for freedom, you posting, you tweet them, or maybe you eat them. All getting on Gab. Video Odyssey, also on Rumble. Fumble, they pass. Take them to class. Can you do that? Say that you won't wear a mask, then YouTube will be scared of you. And if you pass on the vaccine, sorry, but we can't hear you. And sorry, we don't make the rules, but you can start another one. Make your own platform, cause your days here on Big Tech are done. Sense of me, you will never stop the free. Thinking that's gonna shut you down. Post the truth, they go to town. Sense of me, kick me off of every platform. I'll just go to get a gab and rumble, now you can't stop me. Pulling up, ain't gonna stop. Hide if you want, cause it's ready or not. We the whole gang and we up on your block. Got the red dot on you, now take the shot. 2-8 don't face me, now I got my slide. We hunting down snakes, we aim for the hide. Try to judge me, I don't care what you say, cause the people are here and we win either way. Hey yo, shout out to the truckers who be honking on the road. Blocking off the bridge even when the weather's cold. Missing out on money, but to them it do not matter. Fighting for their freedom is the reason that they gather. All over the world, anywhere that you can fathom. Ottawa to Paris, another they are not terrorists. Comparative Vienna, run up a comparison. Trudeau can't stand them, then he tried to ban them. Call up an emergency and do it with some urgency and call up the city police to take away the liberties. But the numbers going strong, you know we never stand alone. We taking back a race, you better take the story on your phone. Then we go to States, put the stick up on my plane. Ain't gonna show a vax for it, you don't wanna ask for it. Then I'll call the truckers and we call it 18-wheeler force. Block it now and no remorse. Australia to hit the source, they calling for the power so that they can come to take your body, your life, to end your mortal strife. Take away the guns, then take away the funds. Hacking at the fundraisers so we know the hell awaits. And really think they're gonna stop it, but they'll never make a profit. No more water in the faucet, cause the workers don't deposit for the timers doing violence. Rebels got it moving silence till it's time to make it loud on the streets and in the cloud. Get banned, stand up, you know we gotta man up. I ain't gonna little timer try to lock us up. Say we gotta wear a mask while they party in the club. Vax that thing up, or I cannot buy us up. Think the politicians for getting new pay to pay stub. It's only been a couple years, you know that we are fed up. Truck Trudeau in the same go for Joe. And if you try to lock me down again, then I'ma let it blow. If you try to push the vaccine, I'ma say no. If you think that you're safe, we better run up in your place. We done with the games, we done with the snakes. You better be scared, we'll do what it takes. Patriots pulling up, ain't gonna stop. Hide if you want, cause it's ready or not. We the whole gang and we up on your block. Got the red dot on you, now take the shot.
I won't take the vax, no. Fauci is a backhole. Why you even rap, bro? If you ain't spitting facts, though. Fire like Tabascos. I'll check the swag, bro. Them trust anyone on news and a lab coat bars. Why they always grifting for the black votes? TikTok pop star, swear it's all an act, bro. Now they want the truckers in the prison cause they mad, so I'ma make a song that made their next turn. Lassos. Call me rap cowboy. Even as a little DC, it was a loud boy. Spitting racist jokes in the class like a proud boy. Okay, who you kidding? I'm a Gavin this McGinnis when I'm rapping like a tabloid. 9/11 inside job. Michelle's got a real big schlong. Probably like 10-inch long. They probably wanna end this song, but we ain't gonna end this song. No, McDonald's fries kill more people than Corona did. Masked up class suffocating all the COVID kids. Let me take a breath. They're praying on the death. I blame it on the left. Taking who you rep. Jesus Christ is the set. I can see that they upset. Gays go to hell. Why? Cause they have anal sex, that's why. Faggot.
Patriots pulling up, ain't gonna stop. Hide if you want, cause it's ready or not. We the whole gang and we up on your block. Got the red dot on you, now take the shot. Stay awake, not woke, I'm tuned in. Your point of view too far, need to zoom in. Ain't got no facts, you assuming. About to call on blue, the way you be cluing. Stay awake, not woke, I'm tuned in. Your point of view too far, need to zoom in. Ain't got no facts, you assuming. About to call on blue, the way you be cluing. Have we had enough of your lies for one night? Have we felt enough of our pain to know it's real? How do you feel? Sick and tired of the lies, all I'm feeling is the pain. It's the devil in disguise while I'm standing in the rain. Water pouring from the sky, but you tell me the opposite. Like I don't have a consciousness, like I'm stuck in the matrix and my brain's up for the taking. But we don't do that, I know my facts. They say that he was elected, but where the stats at? They say that jab the only way to get your life back. But if you have a heart attack, then they will go to hide that. Look at the FDA, acting like KKK, trying to run all our lives like we they brand new slaves. Lose the job, bent from playing segregation, all the same. They call themselves progressives, but they taking us all back again. Bring the world to darkness and sacrifice the children then. When it's said and done, then you will never live with hope again. I say that we break the chains, we can't leave the world the same. Make love real again. As we fly above the truth, I ask of God, am I with you? I walk the path, go to the line, but still I feel that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. You are now tuned in with me. My name is Chandler Crump, and this is our live show we do every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8, Crump Live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my show. This is where there are no holds barred. This is where there are no limits. And this is where we say what we want to say, when we want to say it, and just how we want to say it. And we are empowered to do so by alt-tech platforms, Getter and Rumble, of which I am proud to currently be streaming on both. So if you're watching on Getter and Rumble, big shout-outs to you. If you're currently not, we might have to fix that for you. So if you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, definitely make sure you are subscribed to my Rumble channel and follow me over on Getter. We've been noticing lately YouTube has been especially harsh to my YouTube channel. I've just watched the numbers fluctuate up and down, and then recently just
straight down. So we're working very hard to migrate ourselves off of this platform. This is my second channel I've lost here, and honestly, I know YouTube's never going to be a great place for somebody of my viewpoints to be, but we're working very hard on alternative options like Rumble and Getter, so make sure you are part of the solution and joining us over there. But speaking of part of the solution, if I'm going to make a quick little pun / connection here, the solution that to the COVID pandemic, which is also in and of itself a solution of different materials, see, you know, double entendre there, I guess kind of triple, because, you know, double use of solution in terms of fixing something, and then solution as a mix of liquids and different things to come together to create something, is one of these FDA-approved vaccines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share with you may still be medical misinformation. We're actually going to be jumping into that in a little bit. We have to be careful. You know, Rebecca says, let's hope the misinformation board doesn't come for Chandler. Oh, they will come. They will come, and we will be ready. But the misinformation board may have a mess of their own to clean up, because the FDA, oh, whoops, I told myself I needed to fix that before I did that, and I didn't do it anyways. The FDA has some very bad news for all these COVID-19, it's all safe and clean supporters. They have had to limit the use of Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine and have it only be for people above the age of 18. Yes, this happened just today. In fact, before I was gonna put my show about something completely different, and we're still covering that topic, but this came up and I was like, oh yeah, we have to get in there. Updated an hour ago, as you can see, was published just a couple of hours ago. This is big stuff here. The FDA said on Thursday it was limiting the use of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine for adults due to the risk of a rare blood clotting syndrome. Rare, of course. The J&J shot is authorized for those aged 18 and above, and is one of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines cleared for use in the U.S. The agency said the J&J shot can be administered in cases where authorized or approved COVID-19 vaccines are not accessible, or if an individual is less keen on using the other 2 shots. The FDA said its analysis had determined that the risk of thrombosis from thrombocytopenia syndrome after the administration of the shot warrants limiting of the administration. Or the authorization, I should say. J&J did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. This is monumental. Now, as much as CNBC, Reuters, and every other news outlet that's going to not try to be misinformation is going to downplay this and just, you know, be straight to the facts about the article and then just move on as quickly as they can to something else that they can talk about that is a lot more damning, at least in what they want to damn, this is big. Now, we've talked about on this channel and have been penalized on this channel for discussing the fact that if I, a young man, received J&J, mRNA, Pfizer, Pfizer and mRNA are the same thing, but all these different, any of these different vaccines for this purpose, it is possible and likely that we could develop heart conditions. And that's multiple conditions you could develop. Straight up failure, myocarditis, pericarditis, different ways and directions it could go that are similar in some ways, different in other ways. It was dangerous. In some ways, more dangerous than catching COVID itself. But if I say that, it's a little, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Disinformation, right? We have to jump into that in a minute. But it's clear to see that these articles are all coming out now, and the people that were previously all saying it's safe for everybody, and if you don't let your teen and force your teenage son to get it, then he can't be on the football team, and he can't go on this field trip, and he can't go on this cruise. I've talked about this myself. I told you guys I'm a big fan of cruises and other things like theme parks, and thankfully theme parks aren't mandating the vaccine or anything like that, but cruises currently are. I'm a big fan of a cruise. I've never gone on a cruise yet, but this is yet another way in which I have been straight up barred from it, because the Johnson & Johnson one, which is not mRNA, is coming out to be like, okay, under 18, you cannot do it. Like, if I went to a doctor right now and said I would like to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, they would tell me, Chandler, we cannot recommend this for you. And I'm thinking straight up, we can't give it to you. It's not authorized for you because you're not 18 yet. Although, apparently in a couple of months when I turn 18, suddenly my body has a quick switch and I'm not dangerous anymore to take it. Right? Well, I got a sound effect just for that.
Nope.
Stop the cap.
It is what it is. It is what it is. But as you can see, this is a major story dropping right now. And who is somebody that you can trust to report on a major story nearly as soon as it drops? Well, that's Breaking 911, because they posted about this story. They said the FDA restricts J&J's COVID-19 vaccine due to blood clot risk. And as you can no longer see, but apparently at a certain time, they actually, Twitter, blocked their tweet saying this is misleading. Learn why health officials consider COVID-19 vaccines safe for most people. They posted this after the Associated Press posted the exact same thing. U.S. regulators strictly limited on who can receive Johnson & Johnson yada yada vaccine due to a rare but serious risk of blood clots. They posted the exact same thing as Breaking 911, and Breaking 911 received a misleading tag. Nobody could like it, nobody could comment it, and nobody could retweet it. You had to quote tweet it, and you couldn't copy the link to it on the app. You had to have to do it from a computer, so it was very restricted on what you could do. It appears they may have reversed this, though, because this was a link I had gotten directly from them. So let's see if they've posted about it being reversed, because it looks like it's no longer that way. So thankfully, it looks like Jesus. It looks like Twitter actually has undid this, which is good. But as you can see, the damage is still there. 2,500 people had quote tweeted this because, well, you couldn't like it, you couldn't comment under it, and you couldn't retweet it any other way. So 1,200 quote tweets and then only 1,200 retweets, which is, if you were looking at it from a bird's eye view, you would think it's just a ratio. Oh, people must disagree with this. Breaking Down on 1 is getting ratioed. No, Breaking Down on 1 was censored. But of course, we're not supposed to talk about any of this. We're not. We have a ton more subjects we're going to be doing, but I want to give a big shout out to my folks watching here on all of our platforms, on Rumble, on Getter. My people on Rumble, Joker Ace, who's a Rumble regular, says, Vax injuries overload, thin out the Social Security obligations. That's terrible. Misleading the misleadings. Somebody in the YouTube chat says, Dark MAGA is here, they've awoken the beast of freedom. I think something even better than Dark MAGA is on the rise.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Oh, I might have to make a beat out of that. You know, it's got a little to it. And then it's obviously Biden saying the Ultra MAGA agenda.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA.
Ultra.
MAGA. MAGA.
Oh, that's nice. I'm so gonna overuse that. You guys are gonna you're gonna hate it, but I'm not gonna stop. No, but this is serious. Trump started an Ultra MAGA movement, according to Biden, and it's, I guess this is what Ultra MAGA gets you. Defending the children from what the vaccine may do to them. Right? But of course, this will call us back to the my body, my choice thing. And of course, it's your body, your choice until it's somebody else's body, like actually a body, not a fetus within them, but an actual body deciding not to get the vaccine. Then all of a sudden, it's our body. But of course, they flip it on their head and say, oh, well, if you choose not to get the vaccine, then I should be able to kill my baby. Which, come on, are you serious? That, you know, it's a depraved argument, but we are not going to get into that side of it. What I do want to talk about is something that is happening in Louisiana right now. Republicans in Louisiana are attempting to advance a bill to make abortion a crime, which is punishable on the same level as murder. Yes, this is what is happening in Louisiana, and I am so excited to see it through. We'll continue with this after a few messages from our sponsor.
Hey freethinkers, Chandler here, and man, covering the news of the day, reading your comments, and containing my laughter sure are tiring, right? I'm sure your day-to-day life leaves you just as, if not more tired than me. So why not elevate your night's sleep, all while supporting a great patriot? Of course, you knew it was coming. It was too good to pass up. My Pillow is your ultimate night's sleep. Pillows, blankets, sheets, mattresses, mattress toppers, pajamas, loungewear. As you can hear by me droning on in the background, the list of My Pillow products is long and varied, and sometimes, dare I say, ridiculous. But it all goes towards an amazing cause, all the while giving you the best night's sleep in the whole wide world. Mike Lindell is an amazing patriot and a man I've met a few times myself. I can tell you, he's just as real in person as he is online. He has an inspiring story of recovering from addiction and is a true warrior. You could tell just by how hard the media comes after him. The best way to stand by Mike Lindell, stand by the patriots who have been canceled, and to stand by your wife or husband who would love to wake up in the morning to a non-cranky mess, go to mypillow.com and use code CRUMP, that is code CRUMP, for your very own discount today. Now, let's get back to the show.
You already know what it is. Make sure you get your My Pillows out there today. But let's not dilly-dally any further. Let's jump right into this story because it is a doozy. Louisiana Republicans are, as we said a minute ago, advancing a bill to make abortion a crime at the same level as murder. Or, as it truly is, murder. So let's jump into this. Republicans in Louisiana have advanced a bill, yada yada, we read this, as a draft decision that would end abortion rights, continue to spark nationwide protests, and police in Washington raised non-scalable fences around the Supreme Court. Supporters admitted the bill, under which a woman terminating a pregnancy or anyone assisting her could be charged, was unconstitutional as long as Roe v. Wade was law. The Supreme Court is expected to formally overturn Roe v. Wade, which established the right to abortion, in June. Danny McCormick, the state representative behind the Louisiana bill, said, "We can't wait on the Supreme Court. Since the draft ruling that seems that seems set to overturn Roe was published by Politico on Monday night, Democrats have warned of a likely torrent of challenges to established rights. As you can see, this is a Guardian article, so established rights. I mean, technically true, but I hate phrasing it that way because it feels so dirty and wrong. Like, rights? Established rights? I can think of some other established rights that have been infringed upon for decades now. Decades now that were not looked into at all whatsoever by the government. Not as established rights for those children. Joe Biden has sounded the alarm about threats to privacy-based rights, including the rights to contraception and to same-sex marriage. The president also raised the prospect of attacks on the teaching of LGBT children. On Wednesday, Biden said Republicans pushing such cases constituted the most extreme political organization in recent American history, otherwise known as
MAGA.
The same day in Texas, the Republican governor raised the possibility of challenging an 82 ruling which said states must provide free education to all children, including those of undocumented migrants. I think we will resurrect the case and challenge this issue again. Abbott is a prominent figure on the hard right of the Republican Party, which rumored presidential ambitions. Undocumented migration is a key issue in the re-election fight against Beto O'Rourke, a former congressman, and a central part of the National Republican Party approach to midterm elections, in which they are favored to take back Congress. In case you wondered why Biden is so scared of, once again,
MAGA,
is because they are so very popular. I posted a tweet today because a friend of mine is door knocking down in Florida, and she is telling me that almost at every single house she is stopping at, they are saying, if your candidate is on the same side as Ron DeSantis, I'll vote for them. I posted this today. Friends in Florida who are door knocking for GOP tell me people are saying, if your candidate is on the same side as DeSantis, I'll vote for them. This November is going to be beautiful because candidates like Ron DeSantis are ultra MAGA, like Rick Scott and Greg Abbott, for the most part, are ultra MAGA. These leftists, these liberals, and these rhinos have plenty of reason to be scared because ultra MAGA, dark MAGA, whatever you want to call it, is here and they're going to be taking back power. We've seen what all this time with Joe Biden and this Democrat Congress has done. I think even the Supreme Court, which is a conservative majority, but it's been like this for a while now, is now finally stepping up to say, all right, enough is enough. Let's get serious now. Let's take back our babies. Let's overturn Roe v. Wade. If it's going to actually happen, it's going to be landmark. It's going to be big, which is why people are leaking the five justices that have voted for it, the prevailing opinion of it. They're so scared of what ultra MAGA can accomplish. The Supreme Court is sick and tired of these liberals trying to kill babies. We're all tired of it. The voters are tired of it. It's getting to a point that they're scared. They're calling us ultra MAGA. They're getting out there against the Louisiana Republican Party and saying they're hateful. So I have the trend, because the word Louisiana was trending earlier today, and I want to scroll through and see if I can find any tweets of people that are absolutely devastated about ultra MAGA. Like, for instance, Brian Tyler Cohen, he says, holy S. Louisiana Republicans have voted to advance a bill out of committee making abortion from the moment of fertilization a crime, in which a mother can be charged with homicide. Oh no! Louisiana Republicans, it's the same thing. This one was stupid. I'm not even going to read it because it's just foul. Of course, Democrats will be saying things like reproductive rights or health care. I think this is conservative, isn't it? Interesting. Let me remind Louisiana voters, Senator John Kennedy does not support a woman's right to choose. Currently, I'm the only Democrat in this race that can beat him. I'm the only Democrat openly supporting a woman's right to choose.
Stop the cap.
They always say a woman's right to choose, but there's a lot more choices than just the mother. There's the child, which 50% of the time is a lady. It's a girl. It's eventually going to become a woman, but apparently that's not important, right? It's not that woman's choice that matters. It's the one that's already lived at least a little bit of a life. Some of them a lot of a life. They've lived a good amount of a life, which is why they want to kill the baby so that they can keep living their life and not live for anybody but themselves and maybe some boyfriend or Tinder date here and there. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little rude. I am, but it's true. People that have made these choices sometimes are in a bad position, but sometimes they're just selfish, and it's really scary. Roughly half of women will suffer a miscarriage at some point in their lives. A miscarriage, also a spontaneous abortion. Louisiana HB 813 would charge these women with homicide, punishable by the death penalty for the crime of existing. This is what a war on women looks like, which is just so out of touch. It's simply not how it works. I'm pretty sure this law will respect the difference between a miscarriage and somebody digging in with tools of an abortion to manually do that. A body not being able to carry a baby to term is very different. As much as the terms scientifically may be similar, it's also science that says life begins at conception. So I guess you can just pick and choose when science is right versus wrong, right? For instance, like on the FDA thing and the vaccine, I might get a medical misinformation strike for this stream. I'm probably going to have to take it off of YouTube afterwards to avoid that if I want to keep this channel. So once again, make sure you are subscribed to me over on Rumble and Getter. But people are always disagreeing about the science, but it's the prevailing truth makers and those that decide what is true and what is false in the Disinformation Governance Board that gets to decide who should be punished and who shouldn't. Speaking of Disinformation Governance Board, I want to touch on that real briefly. Apparently there have been some more hearings about it, and there have been some bills that have been drafted to target and attack it. We'll be talking about that a little bit more next week, I'm sure of it, because I'm sure there's going to be some great news coming out of it. But Senator Rand Paul single-handedly shut down Biden's Ministry of Truth with a savage takedown that left Secretary Mayorkas speechless. At least that's what Benny Johnson says. We're going to hear it, well, at least a little bit of it, for ourselves real quick before we move on to our next subject. I had to hear that. So I saw this and I was like, oh, this might be cool. This might be cool.
So here's my question. The FBI concludes that the Steele dossier was full of Russian disinformation. CNN propagated this disinformation gladly for years and years. The difference, I guess, between your opinion and our opinion is that as despicable as it is that CNN propagated this disinformation, I wouldn't shut them down. I wouldn't lecture them. I wouldn't put it on a government website that CNN's wrong for propagating disinformation. The problem you have is you're not even willing to admit, I mean, we can't even have an agreement on what the FBI said was disinformation. How do you propose that you're going to have an office of disinformation governance if you see the problem in even determining what is disinformation?
Oh, Senator, because our work is not focused on disinformation writ large. Where we, the Department of Homeland Security, become involved is when there's a connectivity between disinformation and threats to the security of the homeland.
I can think of a great threat to the security of our homeland that was brought upon an inappropriate connection.
Rub my leg down. Rub my leg down.
That is an inappropriate connection right there. That was a good one. That was a good one. Come on. I gotta add the ba-doom up here. Somebody write that down for me. I gotta add the little ba-doom on here.
So the Russians might be considered that. You mentioned the Russians the other day when you tried to pivot away from this being about censorship. But let's say it is the Russians. I know you're not going to ever agree that the Steele dossier, which y'all spent so much money on, was disinformation. But it was, and the FBI concluded. But let's just say there's an imaginary disinformation. You've discovered tomorrow Russian disinformation that's going to hurt our national security. And CNN's broadcasting it. What are you going to do?
Senator,
You're going to tell Putin, you shouldn't do this.
Senator,
what are you going to do?
Senator, let me explain what we do.
We'll hear this last
in
bit.
The Department of Homeland Security with respect to disinformation, and frankly, what we've been doing for nearly 10 years across different administrations. The cartels propagate disinformation that Title 42 does not apply to a particular community of migrants from a particular country.
How are they propagating this?
If I may, through social media. And what we do through U.S. Customs and Border Protection is actually communicate via social media and other channels that is false, that we do apply Title 42.
So let's say there's Russian disinformation.
That's so stupid. He's legitimately comparing conservatives that want to spread what they believe in and saying we're going to treat them the exact same way we're going to treat people in cartels. And we've been doing it for 10 years to the cartel people. Why don't we start a board to do it to everybody else, right? That's just genius. We won't spend too much more time on that because we've got plenty more to be jumping into. But man, I had to highlight that for a moment. I want to take a quick pause and thank our current Hall of Heroes members, of course, Aaron and Kenny, both who donated right at the tail end of last month. So big thank you and shout outs to them. Of course, the Hall of Heroes is people that have supported the channel financially. So if you're interested in joining it, all those options are available down below. You can do so. Let me read a few comments before we continue on. Agar Khan says, sounds like Deep State in panic mode. Very, very true. Joker Ace over on Rumble says, great threat with fake dossiers. So true. So true. And oh dear lordy, it's up to the states again. Is our state pro in utero virgin sacrifice, dear? Oh boy. Pullhammer says, Joe Biden. Thickerus says, somebody finally calls it what it is. Murder. Thank you. I've been calling it that for a while now. That's something I've agreed upon from the very beginning, that it's, as much as people want to say it's the choice, and at, certain times it was like, okay, whatever. it's always been murder. And it's grown so much worse than it ever has been before, and it ever was supposed to. But anyways, let's jump forward to something else, a little bit on the subject of abortion back a bit. Let's hear from Jen Circleback Saki. Peter Ducey asks, does the president support abortion until the moment of birth? That's a very important question you should be asking of the president, but unfortunately all he has to say is,
And you ain't black.
oh, I'm sorry, I mean,
Rub my leg down.
no, that's not it. Maybe it's this one?
Go, you know the thing.
I give up. Anyways, let's hear from Circleback. Let's hear it. Come on.
Position on choice has evolved over time, so just checking for his.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, he agreed life began at conception about a decade ago. He said this like back in 2012. Life begins at conception, and now he's flipped the script. Whatever.
Official position. Does he support any limits on abortion right now?
Peter, the president has talked about his position many times. He supports the right of a woman to make choices about her own body with her doctor.
But I know that one of the Democrats that he endorsed and who won their primary this week, Tim Ryan, said yesterday that he does not support any limits on abortion. Is that where the president's thinking is now?
The president has stated his view many times.
So does the president support abortion up until the moment of birth?
The president has spoken about this many times, Peter, and I would refer you to his own comments about abortion and a woman's right to choose and make decisions about her body with her doctor, which is...
This pisses me off. Like, honestly, there's not many things that piss me off. Hearing that thing from Tim Ryan, obviously, he's not relevant enough for me to have ever heard anything about him and about the travesty that came out of Peter Ducey's mouth regarding what Tim Ryan said, but... no limits, no restrictions on abortion. I have not been this upset about this topic since maybe back in 2019 when Ralph Northam was on that radio show and he said, we'll wait after the birth happens and, we'll come to a decision about whether the life should continue. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's basically what Ralph Northam said regarding post-birth abortion. If it's not murder, even after the baby is able to separate from the mother, because a lot of these people, as craven as they believe a baby to be killed at any point, will at least say after it's born, it's a life. Because apparently it's not a life when it's kicking and screaming as it's coming out. It has to be fully out, separated from the umbilical cord, all that. Until that point, you could still gut it, apparently. But at least to that point, they still believe in it. Some people are as crazy as Ralph Northam, and it would appear Tim Ryan, and maybe even the President of the United States, to believe that a born baby is able to be ended and it not be anything but murder. It be anything but. And Jen Psaki will not give you a straight word on it, because to her it's just a fight with Peter Ducey. It's just, oh, I gotta have a quick, I gotta make a nice gotcha moment on Peter Ducey. Really stick it to the Fox News, huh? Really stick it to them. That's all she sees it as. Well, no wonder Jen Circleback Psaki is soon to be out from the White House. Psaki to depart White House in May will be replaced by Karine Jean-Pierre. Or maybe it's Jean-Pierre, I don't know, I haven't heard it pronounced, but it could be either. I'm thinking Jean-Pierre, but either way. This fine lady here. So let's jump into this. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is leaving her role on May 13th and will be replaced by Deputy Press Secretary Karine? I'll have to hear some video of it. I may be pronouncing it wrong. Biden made the announcement Thursday afternoon, praising Psaki for returning decency, respect, and decorum to the White House briefing room.
Stop the cap.
Psaki has not yet announced her plans upon leaving her role, but earlier reports suggest she will be a new MSNBC host. I'm sure her talents would be gladly joined over at CNN+. Oh, wait. Karine not only brings the experience, talent, and integrity needed for this difficult job, but she will continue to lead the way in communicating about the work of the Biden-Harris administration on behalf of the people. Jill and I have known and respected her a long time, and she will be a strong voice speaking for me and this administration, Biden said in a statement. And there's Jen Psaki tweeting about it. The lady has served in various senior communication and political roles for Biden, including during his campaign and when he was vice president. She was also previously an NBC News political analyst. She has held multiple press briefings since Biden took office, filling in for the first time in May 2021. She will be the first black woman and first openly LGBTQ person to serve as the White House press secretary. Yeah! Representation matters, and she will give a voice to many, but will also make many dream big about what is truly possible. I can see it already. She's going to publish some great kids book in 5 years about how she was the great first LGBT black woman, demi, whatever, that served as press secretary. It's only up from here, right? Oh man, it's a great time that this is what we're celebrating. Anyways, let's hear from Jen Psaki as she actually brought the lady up on board, and I'm gonna finally learn how her name is pronounced.
So, before I get to the briefing, I just want to start by, I'm gonna cry. Okay, whew. I want to talk about my friend Karine. You gotta come
Okay,
up here.
Karine, there we go. We got it.
So,
Agar Khan says, Karine
I
Jean-Pierre.
just want to take the opportunity to celebrate and congratulate my friend, my colleague, my partner in truth, Karine Jean-Pierre,
Okay,
the next White
that's how I
House
thought.
press secretary. Now, many people in this room have known her for some time.
We're not going to hear all that. Honestly, I don't care anymore. But you know what? Thank you guys for the pronunciation. Karine Jean-Pierre. I'm excited to see what she has. I'm excited to see what nicknames we come up for her, because I'm sure she probably will not circle back as much as Saki, but she may bring a good amount of laughs, and we're probably going to be stuck with her for a long time. I mean, look at it. The way the administration is going, they will find any way to stick a black woman in any role, not because they believe she's qualified or anything, and she might just be. I haven't heard much about Karine Jean-Pierre, but I've heard a little bit from Matt Schlapp. I've heard she's pretty great, but it, you know, with what happened with Ketanji Brown Jackson, I don't trust it anymore. It just seems nothing but pandering, and it's really painful to me. Like when President Trump nominated Ben Carson, it could have been argued either way, but it wasn't that President Trump had said we're going to have the first black urban development secretary or anything like that. He was just like, Ben Carson, I like you. You ran alongside me. I think you can acclimate yourself to this role very well. You grew up in an urban society. I think you can take care of this very well. And Ben Carson, if in my opinion, wasn't very qualified for the role, but it is something that you can learn on the job, and I'd say he did a very good job. I've done a bit of looking into what he did as HUD secretary, and he did a great job. So it's up to them to decide and, pursue greatness in their roles. But with the Biden administration and the way he ran, it was pandering from the very beginning. He wasn't saying, we're going to bring you low unemployment. He wasn't saying some great things like Trump was saying, like, what the heck do you have to lose? Looking at what the Democrats have done to you for all these past decades of, look where you are now. We can bring you up. And the Trump administration really did. The only way Biden wants to bring you up is by putting some person that you are supposed to identify with in some great role. Like, I don't know, Cardi B. And he didn't put her in a role, but he said, Cardi B, I will interview you because you speak for all black women in America. Billions. It really shows you where the Biden administration really sees themselves in regards to the average black American, right? We've got a ton more topics, so don't turn away. We've got a few messages from our sponsor, though, so I'll be right back. Hey, freethinkers, Chandler here. Got a reason to celebrate coming up? Birthday? Anniversary? Election? Then why not recruit the help of your favorite content creator, commentator, and musician to celebrate? Well, now you can, with Cameo. Whether it be for yourself, your spouse, maybe that liberal son or daughter of yours, it doesn't matter. You can recruit my services to wish you a happy birthday, make you a funny political joke, send you a heartfelt message, and all around try to make you smile. For a small flat price on the Cameo app, you can recruit me to do all of this and more. It of course helps support me and the channel, so it's going to a great cause, and you get something even greater out of it. So if this sounds interesting to you, go to Cameo.com or download the Cameo app on the Apple or Google App Store and create an account today. Then, once you're all set, just search my name, Chandler Crump, and from there, enter what you want me to say and who the special message is for, and you'll receive it within a couple of days. Now, let's get back to the show. See some people in the chat saying some really nice things. Rebecca Kaplan says, imagine Candace Owens interviewing Biden. Agar Khan, of course, giving me the pronunciation there. Thick Wrist says, Governor Northam is a pediatrician who advocated for post-birth abortions. He described pithing the baby and leaving it on the table to pass away. He is disgusting. I completely agree. I remember it way back then, and man, oh man, was it something I don't like to remember it. And thankfully, he did not win, or thankfully, he suffered for that politically, and his endorsed candidate, and Terry McAuliffe, did not win. And now we have a great man in Glenn Youngkin running that state, so I'm excited to see what happens with that. Oh, man. Let me read a few comments from over on Rumble. I'm seeing quite a few people over on our Rumble channel. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe here on Rumble and hit that little plus button. In fact, here, I'll put it on screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Make sure you hit this plus button here to like the stream. There you go. Joker Ace is saying a few things. He said Saki stories are about Amber Grade and no need to worry about a compromised candidate, not the Manchurian, just the other fake Ruski collusion. Helicon says, let me turn this on real quick. I need to block off these weird ads. Okay, there we go. Helicon says, always brings me hope to see Chandler breaking through the veil. Good stuff. Thank you so much for being here, Helicon. to break through the veil and remind you guys, we do this live show on a schedule so that if you don't get a notification, you at least know when to come back. So this show we're doing right now is called Crump Live. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just come back to Rumble, Getter, wherever you are, each week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8, and you will never miss my show unless we're otherwise not available, of which we're doing a little traveling soon, so if I'm not available, that's why. But just tune into the show, 8 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you will see us here live on Rumble. And also for my folks on YouTube, we'll keep streaming here, but of course, YouTube will block me. It will take my notifications away, so make sure you are subscribed over on Rumble to never miss out on what we are up to. But let's jump in to our next topic today, because as we're talking about the kids right now, I think it's very apt that we mention, well, what is happening with them. There's a lot of crazy things going on with the children right now, and I want to highlight this as we dig into the final, chapter of our stories today, which is just crazy. A mom has brainwashed her child into the pronoun cult, and it is having adverse effects on this child's ability to function in English society and use grammar. Check this out.
So, because pronouns, those are all the pronouns, but you used they for those two sentences. Why did you use they?
Because how was I supposed to know if it was a they, them, a he, or a she?
You didn't feel like the name was a clue? No? Why not?
Because you always say nothing is a boy thing and nothing is a girl thing.
Nothing is a boy thing and nothing is a girl thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do I grade this paper?
I don't know.
I should give it an A because it's what I taught. That's what I taught you about being non-binary.
Yeah.
I want to give a moment of silence for this poor child's future. I really do, because this is what's happening right now. And it seemed like the mom was having a moment of clarity there for a second, because she was like, "This is absurd enough that I need to record it and post it to TikTok so that people can see this." And I thought she was gonna say, "Well, I'm grading it an A, but unfortunately, in the world, you have to adhere to assuming someone's gender based on their name because, well, what do you know? In English, a lot of names have gender connotations." And they come, some of them come from the Bible or are delineations of biblical names. Sometimes in other languages like Juan, which is a delineation of Jesus, which is a delineation of Jesus. Or other names that may be in there. Max and Leela. I think Max comes from Maxwell. I don't know if that's a biblical name, and Leela may have roots like that as well. But a lot of them go back in languages of that nature. But of course, it's the non-binary world.
A clue? No, why not?
Because you always say nothing is a boy thing and nothing is a girl thing.
Nothing is a boy thing and nothing is a girl thing.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. It is parents like these that are inspiring children to take this ideology to schools. This next story we're going to read is something that is so emblematic of what the future could be and so very painful that I actually want to issue a warning before I read it. This story is graphic. I'm going to avoid the graphic parts of it, but it is also very depressing. So if what you just heard is already breaking your heart too much, I do invite you to click off this stream. I would totally understand. We will be back next Monday at 3 for the Chandler brief. This next story, though, is heartbreaking, and when I saw it, I debated on whether I should even bring it up on the show today. There's not many stories that will ever make me be like that, unless it's just straight up like an attack, and there's a lot of people dying and things of that nature. I don't want to bring it up, but this story is right along that border, but I've decided that for sake of you guys understanding just how dire this is for the future, we're going to read this. So, this is the last warning. We're going to jump into this. The story is called The Saga of Sage, and it is painful. Before we do that, I'm gonna read a few messages real quick. Joker Box says, "This is terrible. You should just teach the kid normal English." Yeah. Helicon says, "Spanish language can be sex specific. Knowing that they are a man or woman is needed in order to respect the Spanish language. English is no different." And Box says, "This is really gonna mess up kids' ability to speak English." Very true. Derek Metcalf says, "Lag. Is there any lag going on? I'm not getting any notifications of lag or anything like that. I have not dropped a single frame. Even YouTube is saying it's good, so let me know if there's anything happening on Twitch, or maybe that was just a notification. Or a emoji. Moonshadow says, "That child should be removed from being abused." Yeah. And Rebecca says, "How many chins?" Oh. Rebecca, you were just too mean. over and over again. You're very nice to me, but you are always roasting these people. I remember a few months ago on this stream, before my old channel was absolutely murked by YouTube, I had to tell my chat to be respectful sometimes, because they would just absolutely roast these parents and roast sometimes these people, so it was very scary. Alright, though, we're gonna jump into this next story, though. You guys have been warned, this one is painful. The following is the story of a 15-year-old girl named Sage Lily. The author, her adopted mother, who happens to be her grandmother, wants the world to know what is happening to vulnerable, trans-identified children like her daughter. When we received her story, we immediately got her in touch with people in our network who could be in position to help her, and to get her story visibility with a broader audience. All of that is currently in motion. Please take the time to read this heartbreaking story for yourself. And this is what the young girl looks like, which is that as well. I am the grandmother of a 15-year-old young girl, Sage Lily. I adopted Sage when she was just shy of 2 years old. Sage and I live in Virginia with my husband. Sage started going through gender confusion in 8th grade. To that point, she was a straight-A student who enjoyed playing piano and writing poetry. At her small school, as Sage informed me, all the girls were either bi, trans, or lesbian. At some point, social influence overcame her. She advised her friends and teachers that she wanted to be trans and that Sage would no longer be her name. She requested to be called Draco and referred to as a boy. The school obliged, since Virginia, by law, requires that students be affirmed by the school staff. Unfortunately, the school did not tell me, her legal mother, about any of this. I was left in the dark. I wish I had known. If I had known, this would have been a much different story. Last August, in 2021, Sage started 9th grade at the local high school with her trans identity in place. Unbeknownst to me, she was bullied and became extremely vulnerable. Soon, she was exploited online, a fact I did not know about until later. On August 25th, she ran away from home. I immediately notified the local sheriff. Her case quickly escalated and the FBI and U.S. Marshal Service became involved. Sage had been trafficked from Virginia into Washington, D.C. and then transported to Maryland. The FBI and marshals found her in a locked room at the home of the abuser at 10 p.m. on September 2nd. So she spent whatever the distance between August 25th and September 2nd, which is, I don't even want to do the math because I don't want to think about it, but that's how long. And called me to let me know and to inform me that I could pick her up the next morning to bring her home to Virginia. I was told she needed to stay the night at a detention center as she was being treated at a hospital and needed a kit for assault completed. I was frantic, as you might imagine, and distraught that I was not allowed to see her right away. I arrived at the detention center bright and early the next morning. However, once there, I received surprising and devastating news. Sage was now being represented by a juvenile attorney and would not be allowed to return to Virginia with us. And I would not be allowed to see her until a court hearing could take place. And on top of that, my husband and I were going to be investigated for abuse because we called her Sage and not Draco, and female pronouns in reference to her rather than he, him. Abuse charges were filed against my husband and myself, and Sage was put in the boys' unit of the children's home, where she was again abused. Following this, she was placed in a private room. Again, I was not advised that Sage, with a female body, was placed in a boys' unit. So now my traumatized child has been kidnapped, trafficked, and then abused again while in the care of the state. Rather than returning to her loving home to rebuild, instead of the trauma care that Sage desperately needed when she was rescued, she was manipulated and our family was treated unfairly. Instead of getting the help she desperately needed and deserved, she was fated to experience even more pain and suffering. After an investigation by both Maryland and Virginia DSS, the abuse charges were determined to be unfounded. Yet Sage still was not allowed to come home. Instead, she was put on center stage to push a political and gender agenda for a Maryland public defender with clearly no knowledge of trauma caused by exploitation of a child. A typical 14-year-old is emotionally mature and struggles with many issues. Sage had additional issues on top of these normal concerns, as she had experienced severe trauma before the age of 2. Now with this new trauma of being trafficked, she was even more vulnerable. Despite the therapeutic programs in Virginia that were willing and able to accept her, the Maryland public defender attorney said Sage could not go because of the trans identification. And the Maryland Juvenile Court judge agreed. On November 8th, 2021, the Maryland judge had finally released Sage to a facility in Virginia. This was immediately appealed the next day, and Maryland continued to retain custody of my child, hoping to place Sage in a foster home in Maryland. Why? Because I called her Sage, her legal name, and not Draco. In this case, it was simply because my husband and I could not remember to, because desperate to get our child back, we would have done anything, including using the name Draco. Now our abused child, the victim of federal trafficking, was being sent to a foster home because of gender ideology. There's no way to interpret that this was in my child's best interests. And to make matters worse, one day on November 12th, 2021, Sage did not return to the children's home after school. She had run away again. Law enforcement and the National Center for Missing Children and the FBI were all notified. At that point, I could only hope and pray that Sage was not back in the hands of the predators. I prayed she was still alive. Everyone should have been looking for her. Instead, the Maryland appeal remained active, and the attorneys were focused on using her to establish case law for transgender individuals. This was the Maryland attorney's main intention, and it was to be accomplished at the risk of my child's mental health and now her life. To my horror, the Maryland marshal found that Sage had been sent from Maryland to Dallas, Texas. On January 24th, 2022, the Texas marshal, through the grace of God, found her locked in a room where, once again, she had been abused by a predator. So, once again, to calculate those dates, she ran away November 12th, 2021, and was not found until January 24th, 2022. This young lady is nearly 3 years younger than I am. Just to put that into perspective, if you guys think I'm young, just imagine such a much worse thing happening to a much younger person. He had used her for content, sold her body for money, starved her, beat her, and drugged her. It was a true miracle that she was found. So many children are never found, but her exploitation would never have happened in the first place if not for the intervention of the state of Maryland. Now Sage is in a residential therapeutic facility for the next 1 to 2 years, depending on how well she responds to the program. She will struggle with these consequences for the rest of her life. She is now only 15 years old. She spent her 15th birthday, October 20th, in Maryland, and I was not even allowed to visit her. I cried all day that day. I want to share her story with anyone and everyone who will listen. I am just one small voice for thousands of these children that our society is endangering by passing laws that give them more rights than the parents who are there to safeguard and protect them. I won't dig any further into the story because it's mostly fluff. I don't need to dig much deeper into it. But also to anybody who is doubtful of the validity of this story, the validity, that's the right word. That's the right word. The validity of this story. This is a news article chronicling the fact that Sage Lilly, who was at the time a resident of Virginia, from Concord, it would appear, was lost, and then as of updated September 3rd, 2021, found, and then as stated in the story, lost again, and I'm sure there's another article for that, but here's another picture of the young lady. Doesn't look much younger than me, but is, a little younger than me, blue hair, cut short, boyish style. These are the things that are pushed on you in middle school and high school, and unfortunately, a lot of people fall victim to it. It's a pipeline, and unfortunately, there's nothing that you can do to fight against it. There's nothing you can do, at least for your own children, in the eyes of the government. You can't refer to them by their birth name. You can't do any of that, at least in some states. It would appear in Texas, though, things are a little better, but if your child ends up in Maryland, you might not have that freedom. This isn't supposed to scare you. This isn't even supposed to make you angry. This is supposed to raise awareness. I'm just amplifying this lady's story. I'm amplifying this young lady's story. I want everyone to know what can happen if you are not vigilant, and what can happen if we allow this agenda to press forward. Is every single gay person a predator? No. Is every single transgender person abused and or a predator? No. Are these things likely? Are these things a possibility? Yes. It's of course the same possibility of a straight person. In fact, I would not be surprised if some of these predators that had abused this young lady were in fact straight men. But it all comes down to a heed that we are embracing this and allowing this to be pushed on children that do not have the maturity to defend themselves and protect themselves against predators. I know that when I went through middle school, there was a massive push of the LGBT. It was a major thing. And that's even in red state, normal Georgia. Now, of course, I am in the Atlanta area, so things are a little bit more blue and a little bit more progressive. But I've heard these things even in more rural counties of Georgia. It's at a, lesser extent, but it's still there. It is pushed on this generation. It is pushed on TikTok. So I'm not saying this to be an alarmist. I'm not saying this to scare you, but you need to be careful. You need to be vigilant because anybody could be this woman here. This woman could have been anybody. She could have been one of our viewers. She could have been one of you. So that all goes to say, be careful and stay safe. I'm going to read a few comments before we wrap things up. Thick Wrist is saying some terrible things. I'll read a few Rumble comments. Box says, I think I'm going to tell my LGBTQ identifying cousin about this story. Yes, and don't say it like to say, oh, this is why you shouldn't be LGBT or anything of that nature, although you can bring all of that to them if that's what you believe. But this story is to raise awareness. I think that's a very important thing you can do to raise awareness about the predators. They will target you if you are interacting with these LGBT forums online where you're supposed to be a safe space for young people, especially if you're bullied. It could lead to that. Helicon says, oh no, that's Spanish language thing. Shout out to my folks over on Getter, Rumble. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate all your comments. Thank you guys so much for listening to this and hearing the story. I know it's not the easiest thing to hear, and it definitely was not the easiest thing to share, but I think it's a very important story. So we will be back next Monday at 3 for the Chandler Brief. I want to give a big thank you once again to everybody who supported our content, to our Hall of Heroes. I really appreciate every single last one of you. I'm going to check real quick to make sure I'm not missing out on any donations or any messages real quick, just to make sure you guys are represented if you support me. And of course, all your options are available in the description below. Donorbox.org, Cash App, right up there. I appreciate each and every last penny or dollar you send my way. Thank you guys so much for being tuned in. We'll be back next Monday. And aside from all that, I'll catch you next time, free thinkers. Don't forget to spread the virus of intelligence.
Into the light we go.